Welcome to the deep dive. So, our mission today, it's a big one. We're going to take a whole stack of sources, psychology, neuroscience, you name it, and boil them all down
Right.
into a single actionable plan. A kind of shortcut, really, to
Yeah.
scientifically guarantee that 2026 becomes your absolute best year yet.
And it's a mission that's, perfectly timed because that feeling you have right now, that's the fresh start effect.
Okay.
It's a real psychological thing. Our brains see dates on a calendar, a new year, a Monday, as these landmarks, clean slates,
Yeah.
and they give us this jolt of optimism that we can actually change.
I love that initial rush of motivation. It feels
Yeah.
so powerful. But then you look at the data, and this is what our sources just hammer home. It's brutal. Classic studies show that 88% of people fail at their New Year's resolutions.
It's a huge...
It's almost 9 out of 10 people just crashing and burning before we even get to February.
Well, and see, that's because it's not a failure of willpower. It's a failure of strategy. The research on this is just incredibly clear.
Okay, so what's the strategy?
It all comes down to the framing, the language you use, what the science calls approach goals.
Approach goals.
Yeah, where you're moving towards something positive, like I'm going to start a daily walk or I'm going to learn a new skill. Those succeed way more often.
And how much more are we talking?
The difference is huge. Approach goals succeed 59% more than the typical avoidance goals.
Weird things like quit sugar, stop procrastinating.
Exactly. You're trying to run away from something. Avoidance feels like a punishment. Approach feels like an adventure.
Okay, so that's our mission today. We are not here to fix a broken you. We're here to build an epic you. So we've unpacked 8 keys, drawing from experts like Carol Dweck and James Clear to shift your whole mindset.
Right. Towards positive action, making 2026 full of achievement, not just attempts.
All right, let's dive right into the engine room here, starting with key 1, establish smart and, like you said, approach goals.
Yeah, and the data is what really sells it. One of the studies we looked at, published in PLS1, just made this so clear.
What did they find?
They found resolutions framed around doing something like take a brisk walk for 30 minutes a day had a 59% success rate.
Wow.
Which is way better than the 47% for goals about avoiding things, like cut down on sitting around. The brain just responds better to a positive command.
The second you focus on the positive, it's like that mental resistance just melts away. But an approach goal is only good if it sticks, right? And this is where James Clear's work comes in.
Oh, absolutely. You don't just want a goal, you need a system. And Clear's framework is just brilliant for this. He says goals have to be obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
The OAES model.
Right. So a goal like be healthier is, well, it's none of those things. It's vague. But if you say, I will do 10 minutes of yoga right after I make my morning coffee.
Okay, that's easy and obvious.
It becomes a ritual. It's integrated. So specificity and positivity, those are the 2 pillars. They're just non-negotiable.
And that perfectly sets up the mental foundation, which is key too. Cultivating a growth mindset. This feels foundational.
Yeah.
And it comes straight from Carol Dweck's research.
It is. A fixed mindset tells you your talents are set in stone. You're either good at something or you're not.
And a growth mindset.
It flips that completely. It says your abilities can be developed, that effort and dedication are what make you smart or talented. It just fundamentally changes how you view a challenge.
And the practical takeaway from that is,
Yeah.
it's so freeing. Instead of hitting a wall and thinking, see, I'm just not good at this, you reframe it. The sources recommend thinking of it as just not mastered yet.
Exactly. And that little word, yet, is statistically so potent. Dweck's work with students proves this over and over. The kids who believe they can grow and improve, they're way more resilient.
And they do better in school.
Consistently, they outperform the kids with a fixed mindset. Failure stops being this, catastrophic event. It becomes a compass. It just points you to a better way of doing things.
But I have to ask,
Yeah.
for someone listening who's facing a really big challenge, like launching a business or something, it's one thing to say have a growth mindset. But what stops you from just getting overwhelmed and running out of steam in 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it ties right back to key 1. You break that huge challenge down into ridiculously small approach goals.
So you don't focus on launch the business.
No. You focus on the smallest possible action you can take today. Maybe it's draft 1 email. The safety net is realizing that consistency on a tiny scale always beats inconsistent heroism. The growth mindset gives you permission to fail small so you can learn fast.
Okay, so the internal engine is primed. Now let's talk about the physical and mental fuel. This brings us to key 3. Prioritize physical health with regular exercise.
And we really need to shift how we think about exercise. It is not just about burning calories.
Right.
Our sources really emphasize its role as a mood regulator, a powerful one. Studies from the Mayo Clinic, reviews in PMC, they all confirm it. Just 30 minutes of daily activity.
Just 30 minutes.
It releases this flood of endorphins. It's been shown to be incredibly effective at reducing anxiety and depression. It's like immediate biological support for your mindset.
And the cognitive benefits are huge, too.
Yeah.
It's not just for your body. Good exercise improves your sleep, it sharpens your memory, it stabilizes your mood. And the trick, according to everything we read, is find something you actually enjoy.
Please, if it feels like a chore, you're not going to stick with it.
So dance, walk while you listen to this deep dive, whatever works.
And that leads right into key 4, which is about sustaining that positive mental state, practicing gratitude and mindfulness daily.
Yeah, and this isn't just fluffy feel-good stuff. It's about actually rewiring your brain's default settings.
That's exactly it. The research from people like Robert Emmons, and you see it echoed by Harvard Health. It shows that a consistent gratitude practice forces your brain to look for positive patterns.
Instead of constantly scanning for threats or problems, which is kind of our default mode.
It is our default mode. And that simple shift is linked to better sleep, lower cortisol, and just a real measurable increase in life satisfaction.
Think of it like you're adjusting your brain's spam filter.
That's a great way to put it. If you just take a minute to note 3 good things that happened each day, and you pair that with, say, 10 minutes of just focusing on your breath,
A little mindfulness.
you're basically giving your attention a workout. It's like a free spa day for your soul, and it pays off immediately in cutting through the daily noise.
But, none of this works if the whole system is running on empty. And that brings us to key 6. Care for sleep and daily habits. Sleep is the ultimate performance enhancer.
We so often see it as just rest, but it's not passive. It's a critical phase where all that neuroplasticity we're talking about really happens.
So when you get that 7 to 9 hours a night,
Your brain is working hard. It's consolidating memories. It's repairing cells. And critically, it's regulating the emotions from the day.
and if you're sleep deprived, your emotional control it tanks.
Yeah.
Your resilience goes down.
Yeah.
Your ability to keep that growth mindset,
Yeah.
it's just gone.
It's severely impaired, which is why the simple habit changes our sources suggest are so important. Try to have a lighter dinner. And the big one, a strict no screens rule for the last hour before bed.
Protect that last hour.
Protect that last hour, and you protect your entire next day.
Okay, so we've got the internal framework locked in, the mindset, the health, the rest. Now let's shift focus to the external world. Relationships, money, and growth. Because your best year isn't built in a vacuum.
No, it's built within a supportive world. And that brings us to key 5. And honestly, if you take only one thing from this whole deep dive, this should be it.
Okay, I'm listening.
Invest in authentic relationships. This is the big aha moment, and it's backed by the most incredible data I've ever seen.
Tell us about the data.
We're talking about the Harvard study of adult development. It's the longest continuous study on happiness and health ever. It's been running for over 80 years.
Wow, 80 years.
And their number 1 headline conclusion after all that time is that close, warm relationships are the single biggest predictor of well-being and longevity.
Not money, not fame.
Not money, not fame, not your career. Deep connections kept people healthier, both physically and mentally, well into their 90s.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So what did they define as a close relationship? Was it just about having a lot of friends?
No, not at all. It was all about the quality. It wasn't about the number of likes on social media. It was about feeling like you could truly count on someone in a time of need.
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability, mutual support, active effort. So the practical takeaway is crystal clear. Prioritize real connection. Call a friend. Organize that dinner. It's a proven investment that pays off for decades.
Okay, moving from social capital to financial capital. Key 7, managing finances with intelligence. Because while money can't buy happiness,
Financial stress can sure block it. It's a huge constraint on all these other keys. And when you look at the research on self-made millionaires, the patterns are incredibly consistent.
and it's never about some complex financial product, is it?
Almost never. It's simple. They pay down high-interest debt first, they save first before they budget for anything else, and they consistently live below their means. It's not about deprivation, it's about control.
I think so many people struggle with that lifestyle creep. You get a raise And your spending immediately rises to meet it, so you never actually build a buffer.
Exactly. And that buffer is where the magic of compounding interest happens. We just need to normalize saving, even if it starts small.
What's a good starting goal?
The sources suggest a simple goal. Save 10% of your income, consistently. That small habit, compounded over time, is like sending a gift to your future, wealthier, less stressed self.
All right, finally, key 8. Learn new skills nonstop. This is about actively keeping that growth mindset alive.
Yeah, we used to have this idea that the adult brain was, pretty much fixed.
Yeah.
But the research on neuroplasticity in journals like Nature just blows that out of the water. Your brain can literally rewire itself. It grows new connections based on what you ask to do. Learning is not just for kids.
So your brain physically grows with the challenge. Learning a new language, an instrument, a little coding.
It's not just about the skill itself. It improves your memory, boosts your creativity, and it builds up what's called cognitive reserve, which helps protect against future decline. So pick something fun, something that stretches you, and give your brain an upgrade. So when you pull it all together, what does this all mean for building your best year?
Yeah.
These 8 keys, they're not just motivational quotes. They're strategies, and they're based on science. And their success, really, it all hinges on one thing.
Consistency.
Consistency. It comes back to that James Clear idea, getting just 1% better every day. Over a year, the results they're mathematically extraordinary.
But let's be real and go back to that 88% failure rate. Because the data also shows something really critical. 23% of people give up in the first week.
The first week.
That's the moment, that feeling when you hit a wall and get frustrated. That's where resilience is really tested.
And there's a scientific solution for that slip-up. It's actually pretty straightforward.
What is it?
You have to build self-forgiveness into the plan from the start. If you miss a day at the gym, that's a slip. It's not a surrender.
Right, it's not a total derailment.
Exactly. Use those tiny goals to reset immediately. Forgive yourself, laugh it off, and get right back to it. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who persist despite failing.
So that's the framework. Positive goals, physical support, real connection, and a resilient plan for when you mess up. That's the path to a genuinely legendary 2026.
And imagine looking back next December, seeing a year built on all those small, purposeful, positive actions, compounding into health, happiness, and prosperity.
So building on that 1% rule, here's our final thought for you to chew on today. Since we know success comes from consistency, from small approach actions that add up, what is the single minimal 1% action you can take today, right now, to start building the best version of your year?
That immediate next step, that's where the fresh start really begins. We'll see you on the next deep dive.